So today's cause, I'm supporting the Autism Association of Singapore, and just to raise awareness for people who are on the spectrum. Um, so I work with several people on the spectrum as well, and I really enjoy working with people who are considered on the spectrum or special, whatever you call it. Um, because there's so much that we can apply this therapeutic work to, especially in terms of looking at uh, the the nervous system, particularly in reference to the framework of polyvagal theory. Some of you have attended my workshops or courses before, and you're familiar with the polyvagal theory. I covered it in a prior workshop. If you're interested, for the recording of that workshop, you can also write to me. But a lot of how do I say it? I think people who are on the spectrum are greatly misunderstood as being socially incapable of connection, as in they don't feel. But it's actually very much on the contrary. The thing is that they feel too much. They are often overwhelmed by stimulus, and which is why this work of being able to to sense with a relational sensing mechanism to build with that can be built within and cultivated to be able to differentiate and integrate sensations is such an important work for people who are on the spectrum. Um, so the Autism Association actually helped to work with the treatment and promote the community involvement for people who are living in the spectrum. And they also care for and manage these centers and platforms, as well as create publications and courses. So if you'd like to donate to them, I have included the link on the details that I sent through tonight as well. And of course, I'm sure that in every community that you are in, whether it's in Japan or in UK, Barcelona, Chiang Mai, there are also communities that you can support. Okay, so we are going into tonight's class, and this evening I actually want to kind of review some of the exercises that we have done before. So far in the last, I think it's 7 weeks, we have gone through kind of different kind of movement practices, different routines and movement exercises. I love working with props because it provides a lot of proprioceptive feedback. So actually anything that we do has to do with fascia or myofascial. It's a very trendy word right now, and I feel that there is also a lot of myths that revolves around this work on myofascia. So I'm just going to share a screen on something that I would like to show you. Okay, I'm just going to go to my desktop for now. Okay, so can everyone see what I'm seeing here or not? Can you see? Yes or no? Yes. You can see the picture that I'm looking at. Okay, so this is actually a picture that is captured by Rod in northern Thailand. Mayon, I think Katie, you might know Mayon. And this is in the eastern part of it, it's in the hot springs. So one of the reasons we tend to go to nature to find to be in nature is so that we can actually be a part of it or get the sense that we are a part of it. And when we study embodiment, we are actually getting into the relational inquiry of who we are, why are we here, what is our purpose, and the way to inquire into these relationships is to really look deeply within. And I'm going to show you some of these images, and these are all images of nature. So this one is of silky water, uh, and if you just kind of superimpose this within your own body, our body is actually made up of 65% fluids, so it's very much like the composition of fluids on planet Earth. And yesterday I was listening to this talk by an embodiment teacher, and she said that she sees the fluids on the earth much like the fluids that's in our body. And the sediments, the soils, the sand, the mud is very much like the connective tissues. And the rocks are like our bones, and rocks are actually porous. And the leaves and the trees are very much like our epithelial tissues and our lungs. So if we go into nature, we actually can see what is within being projected in what is without. And this is an amazing image of actually Lake Eyre in Australia. And this is actually captured by a friend's husband. And this is when a year whereby there's exceptional rainfall over the desert, and he managed to capture these amazing images. Actually, there's a whole collection of them. This is a bit small. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. But these are all images of nature. They are fluids and sediments and soil. So as we look at these images, or when we look at these images, I think it evokes a certain felt sense within us. And well, as we look at fluids, or we look at soil, we look at land and country, there are different words that comes to mind. Words like soothe, or balm, or floating, or drench. So I like to just kind of put this out here for now before we get into the practice, because when we are working into fascia, when we're working into connective tissue, we are really looking at bringing fluids, bringing energy, and bringing the elements from within. And there is a lot of myofascial releases now that are about, rolling and using tennis balls and using like really, really hard stuff to roll out the tissues. And I'm not discounting the value of that, but I feel that we don't really need to beat ourselves up. We beat ourselves up enough in life. We beat ourselves up mentally, physically, emotionally. There's so much self-judgment, and we're so critical of ourselves. So I like to kind of explore how we can shift narratives and shift perspective through imagery, through breath, through movement, and through very soft proprioceptive feedback. Okay, so let's do an infantry check on props. So I'd like you to have a strap or a shawl, scarf. And then I'd like you to have a blanket. Okay. If you have a super soft squishy ball, it's great. If you don't have soft squishy ball, have 2 pairs of socks. Okay. And I actually prepared this little stick man too. So if you can tell me something that is wrong with this, can anyone tell me? You can type in the chat box so you can unmute yourself. Why is this not a good representation of our body? Feet. Okay, yes. What else? Unbalanced. Why is it unbalanced?
It seems twisted the other way. It's not natural.
It looks, it's not natural. Okay, okay. Anything else? It's very hard. No softness. Yes, yes, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Right. I'm going to show you one more thing. Okay. Why is this then a good representation of who we are? Why is this bad when this actually looks like an image of a person? But why is this a good representation?
Rigidity versus fluidity.
Yes, yes, very good. Yes, okay. Yes, rigidity is one way to describe it, but look at, if I were to move any part of it, I can try and move the forearm, but nothing else moves. Nothing else is moving. It's not integrated. It's not one continuous integrated unit, this guy. But this is mesmerizing. I remember there was a kid that was next to me, and he looked at me play with this, and he was just completely mesmerized. But yeah, this is continuous. This is expansive and condensing. Those of you who did the naval radiation class with me last week, condensing and expansive. When one part moves, I just need to move one part, and then everything else has a relationship. This is relational. This isn't. Okay? So when we look at connective tissue, when we look at fascia, we are looking at relationships. Okay? And if you would like to join the Thursday workshop, I will actually explain a little bit more about the embryological origins of fascia and connective tissue. Okay. So I'd like us to begin by doing a little meditation. So I'd like you to find a comfortable seat. Okay. And make sure that you are able to hear me quite well, because you don't require your vision, but more on imagery. So take your time to get yourself comfortable in a seated position. And when you're ready to switch gears, close your eyes, begin to tune into what's within. Perhaps begin by just whatever is touching the ground or the cushion or whatever you're sitting on. That's the foundation of your pose, your posture at the moment. So letting the weight of your body settle. And just letting the thoughts or the events of the day wash over you. Those people in Europe, perhaps allow the body to come into a reset for the day ahead. And I'd like you to just sense into what is in front of you, what is behind you, what is on your right side, what is on your left side, and what is below you and what is above you. So just taking a little orientation of where you are in relationship to your environment. And then sensing into the weight of your body, particularly the two sit bones that's touching the cushion. Just sense into if one side feels a little bit different from the other. And then begin to just explore the whole connection of each side of your body. So sense into the whole of the right side, beginning from how heavy your right sit bone is touching the cushion or the chair or the ground or the mat. And then sense into the whole connection on the left side. And then just notice the mental image of each side of your body. That's one side of the body feels bigger than the other side, or feels more complete, or if you have more clarity of where each side or how much space each side of the body is taking up, where each part is. And then just holding this felt sense on each side of the body, begin to bring your attention to your breath. And I'd like to bring the navel radiation principle back into this practice. Just allow your attention to originate from your navel center. So bring your awareness to the navel center, maybe just behind your belly button. Begin to sense a rhythm, a pulsation emanating from there. Just notice if, as you inhale, if there's more expansion towards one side than the other, or if there is a different quality of breath. There's no need to be forceful on your breath, so just allow the breath to be as natural as possible, but with an intent of curiosity, of inquiry, noticing how it's moving on each side of the body. And I'd like you to separate your hands. Just have your right hand on your lap, right side of your lap, and left hand on the left side of your thigh. Allow the shoulders to relax. And sense into whether your palms are touching your thighs or the back of your hands are touching your thighs, whichever is more comfortable for you. And then begin to feel the movement of breath from the navel center all the way out to your fingertips. And then bring your attention to your right hand. To the fingertips on your right hand. To the right palm. The right forearm. The right elbow. The right side of your upper arm. To the right side of your shoulder girdle. To the right side of your shoulder blade, across to your collarbone, to the right side of your rib cage, and into the center of your heart. Take a breath in and imagine you're drawing the breath from the fingertips up the lower arm, up the upper arm, all the way up to the shoulder, into the right side of your rib cage, the right side of your lungs, all the way to the center of your sternum. And as you exhale, allow the breath to travel from the center out to the shoulder, down the right arm, and out through the right hand, through to the right fingertips. And repeat this visualization for another 3 more rounds of your breath. Every inhale, just feel the breath traveling through the fingertips, your hand, up the arm, to the shoulder, shoulder blade, rib cage, to the center of the sternum. And then the exhale, it moves from the center and move right out the arm to the fingertips. And perhaps the next breath, you can imagine the water, the fluids flowing through you is directed by the movement of your breath, bathing the whole right side of your arm, and flushing out through your fingertips. Maintaining this imagery of fluids and breath moving up the right arm all the way to the center. And then releasing, flushing, cleansed, and then let go. Just come back to your natural breath now. And notice if there is a difference in the quality of your right arm with your left. If there is a sense of lightness, softness. Perhaps you can even notice all the way down the right side of your torso, all the way down the spine to your pelvis, to the sit bone. Just notice has shifted. And then bringing attention now to your left hand, your left fingertips, the left palm, left wrist, the two bones on the left side of your forearm, the left elbow, the left side of your upper arm, left shoulder, left side of your collarbone, go around to the left side of your shoulder blade, left side of your rib cage. Perhaps you want to sense into what's beneath the left side of that rib basket. And connect all the way to the center of your heart, the center of your sternum. And locating this part of your body, sensing it coming alive. As you draw in the next breath, allow the breath to travel in from the left fingertips up through the left hand, left wrist, left forearm, up the arm bone, the left shoulder, into the left side of your lungs, flushing, bathing, feeling the heart pumping the fluids back out as you exhale, down the left side of your arm, down the left hand, and through the left fingertips. And continue this visualization with the rhythm of your breath, the tidal flow of your breath. Inhale as you move up the left side of your arm. Exhale as you flushing it back out, cleansing, bathing, letting the left side of your arm float in these fluids. Repeating, just like the flow of your breath, wave-like, flashes, recedes. Repeating one more round, one more cycle. This intrinsic movement, this intrinsic rhythm. All the way to the center of the heart. And then allowing attention to move out beneath the skin. And once you've completed, just let go. Come back to baseline and sense into if anything has shifted for you. Sense into the two sides of your sit bones once again. Sense into the weight and quality of your body, the clarity on each side. And from within, sense into what's without. Notice if what's around you, even behind your closed eyes, have shifted or changed or transformed. And And then just bring the hands together so they touch each other. The two sides joined into one. And bring it to your heart center. Taking a deep breath in. Letting the breath fill up the entire two sides of the body. And then exhaling, receding, flushing. Then slowly opening your eyes. Just allow your vision to soften. Notice where you are in this room if the light has changed for you. Release your hands. I don't know, how was that experience for you? Maybe you'd like to share with me. You can type it in, you can say something, or you can share with me later. Okay. Let's stay in your seated position. But let's bring the legs into side sitting. To make sure you'll be able to see me. Move back a little. Okay. And then have you strap. And what I'm doing here is I have my right leg in front and left leg behind, kind of. Okay. So my right leg is in external rotation and my left leg is in internal rotation. Okay. It's a side seat. It's just getting you to move into a rotation. Okay. So without using the strap yet, I'd like you to just take a twist here. And as you turn and twist, I'd like you to register the objects that's in your vision. Okay? And then as you turn, look at the furthest object you can see. And just register that. Okay, and then come back to the center. And then do it once again, just register the object that you can see. Look at the furthest one, and as you come back to center, also register the object that you can see on the way back. Okay. And then I'd like you to take the strap, bring it forward in front of you. Take the strap, bring it forward in front of you. And then repeat this movement. So now your gaze is perhaps on your strap. And then the background are the objects that you have seen before. Okay, and then go to the furthest point and look at what is the furthest point you can see, the furthest object you can see. And then stay there. Turn your head back towards the front. So your body is in the rotation and your head is in the center. Good. And then see if you can just twist your torso a little bit more. There shouldn't be any pain. And I'd like you to just sense into the breath from the navel center. Keep your gaze soft. And just notice if your torso is releasing a little bit more into the rotation, or is it rebounding back to the center? Good. then now slowly take your head over. Look at the furthest object. Taking a couple more breaths here. And then releasing. Coming all the way back. Release the strap. Few breaths. Okay, and then turn. Look at the objects again and find the furthest point. And notice if anything has changed for you. Okay, and then come back. And just sense into the difference between the two sides. Especially around the rib cage area, the rib basket. Maybe even feel into the groin space. Okay, and then switch your legs around. And then once you're ready, begin to turn and rotate again. And just notice the objects that is coming through your vision. And find the furthest object you can see. And then coming back, just registering again, what are the objects? And then do it one more time. So your vestibular system is getting a sense of where you are. And then coming back. And then taking the strap once again in front of you. Bring your gaze to the strap, the center of the strap. Keep the gaze soft. Okay. Keep the breath nice and easy from the navel center. Then begin to rotate. So this is an active rotation. So go till where it's still easeful, nothing that is going to constrict your breath. Look at the furthest object. Taking one more breath here. And then turn your head back, keep the torso rotated. Just turning the head back to the center. And just notice how much of the torso is relenting or otherwise. Breath nice and easy. Good. And then begin to turn again. Taking 2 more cycles of breath. And then releasing everything back to the center. Taking a moment to sense into how much space you're taking up. As we spiral through space, are we getting a sense of this relationship, this spherical relationship we have with our environment? It's coming back to the center. Okay. Then let's get a little bit more energetic. I'd like you to stand. So if you like to find, I didn't specify a block or a book this time, but if you like, you can have it. If you don't want to have it, it's fine. If you don't have it, that's fine too. Okay. So if you have a ball, a soft ball, so nothing like a tennis ball, nothing like a lacrosse ball, something that's super squishy. If you don't have anything that's squishy, you're going to take 2 pairs of socks and then bunch them into a big ball. Okay, so either a super soft ball or 2 pairs of socks. Leave the blanket. And then I know you've probably seen like a million myofascial release thing of feet on Instagram or on YouTube. But I like you to use the socks instead, or the soft ball instead, because the feedback is a lot less in that sense. It's a lot less intense. Okay? I like you to just place the ball of your foot onto the ball. Okay. If you want, you can put it on the block as well. That might give you a bit more feedback, or you can just be on the floor. Okay. And I'd like you to just, like what we did for a few weeks already, is to just allow your weight to pour into this external object. And then begin to sense into the pathway of how your pathway of your weight travels through. So these are all exercises that we have done in the previous classes, so we're just reviewing them. Okay. And notice if there's a tendency for the knee to fall inwards, or for the foot to pronate. Pronate as in like the arch might fall. Okay. And this is super soft. Super, super soft. And then you can start to also play around with going into the outer and inner.
Why do you use the block, Daphne?
I use the block so I get a little bit more flexion into it.
Okay.
Or you don't have to use the block, you can also get more into flexion. It's up to you. Okay? And then maybe begin to try and pick up the sock or the ball. Maybe you want to try and go more into, lunge, if you like. Then don't forget the front of your foot too. You can place it underneath the front of your foot. or the front of your ankle. If that is available for you, or you can place it on a block. Just some way to play around with getting feedback. You don't have to have the block if this is also okay. That's available for you. Okay. And then come back to standing. And I'd like you to just close your eyes and go within once again and just sense into the difference between just the right foot and the left foot. You can just sense into just the 2 feet first. How they're touching the ground, how alive each side feels. You can even try to bend one knee at a time and notice if it's easier to bend the side that has done a little bit more work than the other. It is for me, that's my experience. You can even try going sideways to feel, is it easier to access one side than the other? It's quite an obvious difference for me that just by doing my foot, the whole of my right side is a lot more nimble. And there's just this flash of circulation and fluids that is directing me to move. And you can even test. Perhaps you want to try and balance on one foot. See how that feels. How much are you able to adapt versus the other side? So much more stable on the foot that I have done work on as compared to the other. I can even try coming into a forward bend, okay? And I can feel that my right side that I have worked on is softer. There's a lot more fluidity that's moving through. Okay. Let's play with the left side. So why don't we use really hard balls like tennis balls or lacrosse balls, or I don't know, some of the balls that I've seen people using, golf balls. Why? Why do we need that? Well, when we have very, very intense sensation, we forget to listen to the other softer voices. So, and what is soft? Water, fluids is soft. Fluids is powerful, but it's also soft. So you can try articulating your feet in different ways. What are the options that's available to you? I know one thing that I have missed a lot during this lockdown period is to be able to walk in the parks without having to wear a mask. So you can try picking up. And if you dip your feet or just plunge your feet into really, really soft, moist soil. And then you can try working the front of your feet as well if you like. So letting you be creative in the way you want to move. I know that a lot of myofascial release is like, okay, do this 3 times over 3 breaths in this direction and that direction. But how about you move through your own felt sense into how can we bring fluids and hydration and soothe and bathe these tissues. And even the bony structures, even the rocks, the bones have marrows. What's inside the bones are also fluids. When you're done, just come back 2 feet on the ground again and just notice how alive you feel, how grounded you are to the center of the earth. Maybe you can even feel the breath has changed, the quality of your breath from the navel center. The ability to yield, fluids yield and fluids moves. And then play around again. See if you can find there's a lot more rebound and balance. I'm not toppling anymore. Are you able to feel more where your center is now? What has shifted for you? What has changed for you? Great. Is everybody doing okay? Can you give me a thumbs up if you are okay? Great. Okay. So yes, today's class is a little unstructured, just kind of reviewing some of the stuff that we have done before and just bring it back to the theme that we're exploring this week, which is fascia, connective tissue. So the next one we're going to do is laying down on the belly. And it depends on whether you've had a big breakfast or you had some lunch or tea or something. If your belly is quite full, then you might skip the next one. But if your belly isn't too full and you feel pretty okay and you don't need to go and pee, if your bladder is full, please go and empty your bladder as well. Okay? And then what you're going to do is to roll your blanket. Take your blanket into a roll. And just put it aside first. And I'd like you to come into baseline, just laying on your belly first. Have this close to you and have your socks close to you. Okay, laying on your belly first. Okay, and have your feet, like I've always mentioned, have your feet in neutral position, so your feet are not turning out and they're not turning in. They're in neutral position. Okay, and I'd like you to just come into a cobra. Something that is easy, not strenuous, just into a cobra, and just notice where are the sensations, where is the resistance. You can also turn side to side. Just notice if there's ease or resistance or effort. Where are the clunky areas, where the areas that seem a little bit sticky or stuck. And then coming back. Okay. And then you're going to put this pair of socks under the groin space here. So where the femur and the pubis is, there's a hollow here in the groin. That's where you're going to place the sock in. So black and black is not going. So here. Okay, if you have a softball, you can do that as well. And then you can take this under the forehead. And go and just let your body drape over. And let your breath kind of be the hydraulic pump. If you don't feel anything, you really don't feel anything and you just want a little bit more sensation, you can also lift yourself up onto a cushion more to go over. That gives you more intense sensation. If you want that, if you're chasing that, this is a lot more subtle. Just allow the breath to flush and drench and release. And so sense this with anything that's coming through, flushing through and washing over with your breath. The sense of tidal flow that is moving through, receding. And allow 2 more full cycles of breath to move through. So this very vulnerable, sensitive area. And then allow you to just remove the sock of the ball. Straighten both the legs, and then feel that there's a difference between the 2 sides. If the left, whichever side that you have the feet back, the prop under, does the leg on that side feel longer or feel lighter, or a sense of being able to float like it's just a floating with the currents. And then take the hands to the two sides of your chest again, and then use your breath to slowly lift yourself off the floor, float away from the ground. And just notice if there is a difference, maybe even the side that you have the ball under or the socks under, maybe that side is coming. Might feel a little bit lighter. And then you can turn. Once again, just check. Maybe the range of motion is different on each side. Okay, then coming back. And switch to the other side. So move it underneath this hollow, this soft crevice. And then when you're ready, coming back to prone position, just resting the frontal bone of your forehead on the blanket. If you want to have more feedback, feel free to slide the cushion underneath your belly. And just coming back to the navel center, to the source of your breath, and letting the breath direct the current of the fluids. Breathing, flushing, receding, bathing, flowing. Sense into the fluid spaciousness that you are creating through breath and consciousness and imagery. Just notice your attention here. Is your attention able to be relaxed and get present without having a forced sense of concentration or focus? There's no need to effort. And then just remove the socks or the ball from underneath you and straighten that leg. Still staying prone with your head down. Feeling the length of both legs, feeling the space along the front of your groin. Under the pelvic floor, all the way through to the space behind the navel, between the front and the back body. Sense into how the fluids have drenched the tissues. Cleanse it. And then taking the hands underneath or alongside the chest again. And then when you're ready, take a breath in and slowly lifting up again. Just notice if there is a sense of floating. Then you can just allow the fluids to lift you off the ground into a cobra. And there's no cranking of your neck. The vision is soft, the eyes is soft. And then investigate or explore the spaces around you, the peripheral vision. Notice if anything has shifted for you. And the experience of spaciousness, and softness. And taking yourself all the way back into child's pose. And then coming back into breath here. And with no external input, just your belly on your thighs, and sink into this embryological breath coming through your navel. The inner fluids resting into the boundaries of your skin. Okay, and then you're going to come back, maybe come into sitting first. And then you're going to take this blanket roll and place it from pubic bone. I don't know how long if you have a super long torso, then it doesn't matter, it will come halfway to your sternum. I have a really short torso, so it's like all the way up to the chin already. But it should come from your pubic bone, so it originates at the pubis and then it comes all the way to the sternum. Okay, so we're moving into the front line of the body, and the front line of our body is very reactive. It's our startle reflex, and it's often really in this state. It's the sound that I can make to it. And we are actually going to create some sounds. Okay, sounds move through fluids. Have you tried making sounds inside water? And notice how that vibration travels through. Okay, so I'd like you to. So when you come back into this prone position, I'd like you to use your exhale to move, to create some sounds. It can be you can sing, but I'd like you to just let this and just sense that vibration is coming through the fluids. And maybe your body might move with it. So, and I'm actually moving with this vibration. Okay, so I'd like you to just try that and see how that can move you. So letting the sounds move through the larynx, the vocal cords, the rib basket. This is the heart space and the lung space. They create so much sounds and music. It's what the doctors they listen to if you go to the clinic, right? And then the belly space. Just make a few sounds when you're ready. Okay. So you're all on mute, so I invite you to make any sounds that is coming through, and let those sounds wash over you. And then if those sounds begin to vibrate from within, allow that to move through your body. Maybe you might be getting into some movement, some soft, fluid movement. Maybe the sounds allow you to float. So they are anchoring on those vibrations. Allow these sounds to lengthenly exhale. Try for 2 more breaths. Move through 2 more breaths and just let these sounds travel through from within to into the ether. Let them move you from the inside to the outside. And then when you're ready, bring your hands alongside the chest again. And then slowly floating up away from the ground. And maybe the hands come off the ground as well. Just like you're on a surfboard, just surfing, riding the fluids, softening and draping. Back, taking the hands alongside the chest. Once again, press yourself up and back into child's pose. Noticing the spaciousness from the front of your heart to the back of your heart. The front of your abdominal wall to the back of your abdominal wall. Sensing into the organs floating and moving. Sliding, gliding. And then move yourself back into vertical position. Just taking a moment back in a seated position so that you're back with engaging with the world around you, in front of you, behind you. And then we're going to do one last set of movements of myofascial release. Then you lay down on your back. Okay? And then you're going to start with just placing the blanket underneath your sacrum. And then if you were in the class that we did, the clock 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you can just play around the clock. If you haven't been in the class and you don't know what I'm talking about, I'd like you to just take this as a roller, okay? And then just move your pelvis along whatever is arising, whatever is moving through the body. And then you can have your arms either by the side, or if you want to allow the rib cage to also come into play. Okay. And then you can also play with sliding this roll underneath the shoulder blades as well, so that can also take you into some creative movements. And then finally go underneath the base of the skull, and then you can roll. Let's see where that takes you as well. Okay, so it can take 5, maybe 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to play. And again, I'm not going to direct you or give you specific instruction, but just allowing you to sense deeply within, enjoying whatever imagery that you like of your favorite place on earth. And just allowing breath to guide the currents of fluids. Not just the fluids, but how it drenches the soil, the sediments, vegetation, how it bathes the rocks, how it makes the rocks porous. Back into a womb-like state where the fluids hold you from beneath your skin to beyond your skin. Only breath. Breath moving you and breath breathing you. Just take a moment to allow your weight to settle once again. Liquid weight, liquid mind, liquid body. And the boundaries of your skin. Is that also the boundary of your awareness? And if not, how much wider is your field of awareness, your field of perception? And the flow of fluids, the flow of warm blood, lymph, interstitious fluid within the matrix of our body. Fluids bathing the brain, bathing the eyes, bathing the lungs, come through the heart. The word yield makes sense. Just letting breath back into the forefront of your awareness. roll your head side to side. Just notice through your inner eyes if you can see every object that's within your vision field. If you slide your feet closer together and reach your arms across space over your head. Reach into the ether, allowing your body to travel through space. And then condensing as you draw your knees into the navel. Just letting the fluids rock you side to side. Just take your time to roll over, condensing, expanding, shape-shifting back into seated position, back to a vertical relationship with gravity and space. Just resting your hand on each side of your legs again, just sense into once again the whole body. Sense into the interconnectivity, the integration, the spaciousness that anchors into a sense of ground and solidity that is not rigid. The hands back in front of the heart, back into the midline, taking a deep breath, sensing into the expansiveness of the breath, of your awareness. And then condensing the flush through the whole body. Thank you.